Welcome again to Lakeshore Focus, a weekly show highlighting the key issues, important events, and interesting people in our region. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick. You or your son or your granddaughter enrolls in a college course. You see the name of the faculty assigned to your class and have absolutely no knowledge of who this person is, how much he knows, or how well she teaches. Soon it's discovered that the professor is an adjunct. What is an adjunct and how much does she know? How well does she teach? The cycle begins. Our guest today saw this dilemma and had an idea which has turned into a business. Let's meet Kathleen Gibson, CEO and founder of Adjunct Professor Link. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I had you as Kathleen, but I know I'm so used to calling you Kathy, right? So
right.
That's what everybody calls you, right?
Except my mother and my husband.
Okay. So Kathy Gibson almost sounds like Kathy Gifford,
right.
too. So maybe it'll throw the
Not
audience off.
Not a singer or a dancer, though, or a talk show host.
So a talk show host, but you'll do just fine.
I'll do okay.
So two things I want our audience to know we're going to talk about today is one about this adjunct issue, and the second is I want to talk about this business that you've kind of got going. So you're kind of a double header here.
Yeah, well, thanks.
So this whole thing with adjuncts, I mean, 70%, I think your material says, and your research says, 70% of all college classes are taught by adjuncts. Doesn't that seem to be a little disproportionate, or what's going on there?
So lots of changes and shifts in higher education right now. The data actually comes from the Chronicle of Higher Education, which is the preeminent publication related to higher education, right? And so that number is actually probably higher now than 70%. An adjunct faculty member historically in higher education was an expert, someone with professional skills who came in alongside the full-time faculty to help deliver the curriculum. So when I went to law school, for example, I took an employment law class. There wasn't somebody on the law school faculty, full-time faculty, that had expertise in employment law. And so they hired somebody as an adjunct to come from Fort Wayne, Indiana. He came every Saturday morning for 3 hours. We did employment law with this employment lawyer who taught as an adjunct.
So when you get this adjunct, you really get people who've got that expertise.
Exactly.
And not necessarily just are teaching all the time,
right.
but they're doing.
Right.
Okay.
And so this faculty, this adjunct faculty in the past made up a small portion of the faculty in that most of the courses were being delivered, the curriculum was being delivered by full-time faculty. A shift happened right about the time of the recession where colleges and universities began to hire more adjuncts for a whole lot of reasons. One of those reasons being cost and the legacy costs associated with hiring faculty for life on the tenure track. And another explanation is that the work world sort of changed and the job market was demanding that there was a skill set in graduates that wasn't being provided for in the typical kinds of programs that students were taking. So schools began to see much more demand for practical professional programs, and there weren't faculty, full-time faculty readily available to teach these courses. So things like cybersecurity. Back in the day, you know, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a full-time PhD in cybersecurity. It's a relatively new field. So how do you offer a program in cybersecurity? You find experts in that field to come in and offer those courses.
You seem to know a lot about this because you just rattled that off like, so where'd you get all this knowledge?
So I actually started as an adjunct faculty member. I practiced law in Valparaiso for quite a few years and then was asked to teach a course at Valparaiso University and started adjunct teaching there. That led to a higher administration position as an assistant dean in 2 colleges at Valpo. And that's where I became really acquainted with the issue that the department chair has, and they're the hiring unit at an institution for faculty, in finding high-quality experts who could teach as adjunct professors.
And you were in the graduate school for a while in administration, and that's a pretty high amount of adjuncts are used more in graduate school, aren't they?
Lots of graduate programs hire adjunct professors. At big research universities, these are typically teaching assistants, so students earning PhDs, but at a school that's offering just master's and below sorts of programs, they're often using outside faculty who are experts in particular fields to offer their courses.
Because most of the faculty, unless again you're at a huge institution, most of the faculty are really kind of focused more on the undergrads, particularly higher level undergraduate courses, unless there really is a big graduate program. So
yeah, I mean, it really depends. So what's happened in graduate education, which is an interesting shift as well, is that you see many more of these what they call professional masters that are master's degrees that usually people who've been out working for a while come back and earn to enhance their skill set. So it might be a professional master's in digital marketing. So they're acquiring 18 months of credits, worth of credits, to earn a degree that's going to give them another skill set in their place of employment, rather than the typical sort of graduate program that was master's leading to PhD. So these are distinguished as professional master's programs, and certainly in those programs we're looking for lots more experts and people to come in from the outside again to offer that expertise to students as adjuncts.
So here comes the dilemma, right? And this is where you kind of identified this. So this trend starts or continues to expand, for the schools have to economically need more adjuncts. And so all of a sudden the school says, where do we find these adjuncts, right? And how do we know they're going to be a quality teacher? They're a practitioner, but what do they know about teaching? And then the school is also then trying to defend that for the students to provide a good product. So you saw this dilemma, right?
Yes, exactly. So firsthand, I experienced it on both sides. So I was getting to that age where I had a lot of friends and colleagues who were saying, you know, I'm at that point in my career where I'd like to give back. I'd like to teach a course. How do I get connected with a college or university to do that? Not the easiest thing to do. It's not like you simply can go on to, call the HR department. The HR department is not responsible for hiring faculty. It's the department chairs and the deans and academic colleges that are responsible for hiring faculty. So most people are confused about where they would get connected if they were interested in teaching. So there's that side, but there's also the side of the department chair. Again, on that academic side of the institution, if you think of an academic institution as being two sides of the same house, you have the administrative side, and that's your president and all your administration, so all your student services, enrollment management, all those kinds of things. On the other side, separate and distinct, really, you have your faculty side, who under our traditions in higher education, under academic freedom, are responsible for delivering the curriculum and decide what the curriculum is, who the faculty are that offer that curriculum, and sort of how the academic side of the institution is run.
So they got to protect that academic side, so they've really got to say, so if someone walks in the door or they get a name, and they got to go, okay, is this person really going to be able to deliver what we need in the way we need it? So give me an example of a nightmare without naming a name.
Right.
Okay, and give me an example of a dream.
Right.
Adjunct faculty. So tell me about one of your nightmares.
Okay, so I think that when you think of a poor faculty member, you think of somebody who doesn't do those things that we expect great faculty to do. They don't inspire. They aren't able to give practical skills. They aren't able to give context. They aren't able to talk about how you apply the concepts in a particular field. They aren't able to open you up to opportunities for your lifetime development in that field, whether that's opening a network up to you or opening certain periodicals or publications that practitioners in a particular field read. They really are sort of out of touch with the real life practice of that particular field.
But they may be a real successful professional, right? So as a faculty, you look at it and go, this person is highly successful. We should bring them into the classroom. So then the nightmare begins?
So, I mean, I think that the phase that we're addressing, the problem that we're addressing particularly at APL right now, is helping the department chairs, again on that academic side, pretty low down on the hierarchy. So you start with a provost and you move to a dean and then you get to a department chair. They are busy people. They're teaching, they're researching, they're managing their faculty in their department, they're advising students. They're doing a whole lot of work, and the last thing they have time for is to go out and recruit this large number of adjunct faculty that they need. There's no easy way for them to make that connection with that person who wants to share their expertise and what they need. And so that's the problem we're solving initially. The second problem that we go about solving is certifying that that adjunct is in fact likely to be successful in the classroom.
How do you figure that out?
So there are two ways that we are doing that currently. One way is to use an algorithm that is in development right now that looks at the 10 characteristics that are most likely indicators of success in the classroom. So we've all had that instructor who's brilliant but can't deliver the knowledge, the expertise, the experience that they have effectively to another group, to a group of students. We look at the 10 factors that are most significant in ensuring that somebody is going to be effective in that delivery.
Give us an example of a couple of those.
So actually number 3, if you can believe it, is sense of humor. This is something that really is important if you're going to be effective in the classroom. I used to say when I started adjuncting, I feel like half talk show host, half entertainer. And
so there's hope for me.
There is hope for you. You have a great sense of humor. And it's not as if it's all just fluff. You have to be a deep subject matter expert, but you also have to be able to translate that expertise in a way that engages students, particularly as we look at our traditional students, this generation of students that's highly distracted because of technology. You have to be engaging.
So how do you figure out like the humor issue? I mean, how do you figure out that somebody is humorous or can be humorous?
Yeah, so I mean, there's an inventory of 100 questions that our candidates take, and when we look at the results of that inventory, those indicators are predictive. Again, this is one sort of tool. Once we provide the service of making the connection, saying Keith would be an amazing instructor in your business college in this particular area, he's got indicators that show through our predictive analytics that he's likely to be successful in the classroom. But you, as the department chair, still need to sit face-to-face with Keith, talk to him about his deep subject matter expertise, and determine for yourself. I think that analytic tools are fantastic. I love what we've been able to do in terms of data metrics in this country and how we're making more decisions based on data. But there's something really important about being face-to-face with somebody, seeing their passion or lack of passion for their field, hearing them speak, hearing them articulate their thoughts. This is vastly more important than any sort of predictive algorithm we're going to be able to provide. It's going to give you a clue. It's going to give you an indicator that you want to move forward with that person. But at the end of the day, that department chair has to be convinced that this is going to be a great instructor.
So you look at really more the ability to teach, that ability to inspire. You don't look really at the academic content side.
No, I mean, we are, think of us as sort of a match.com, if you will. We are matching a candidate who is showing not only that they have the credentials that the academic department is looking for, that they have deep subject matter expertise, that they're doing all those sort of things that indicate that they're high-level practitioners in their fields. They're publishing, they're talking about issues, they're involved in networking organizations and in leadership organizations in their field. And we've got this predictive tool to show that they've got the personality traits that are likely indicators of success in the classroom. But we're going to match you with that person, and you have got to have the first date. You've got to decide whether you want a second date, whether you want to hire that person. And so we're more of a matching tool.
You always put it in this dating terms thing. Do you think that works for the faculty?
Well, I think that most people understand what happens in that sort of data service, in a matching sort of service.
It puts a more human side to it
Right.
than saying all this data. So
Right.
then the department chair or whoever has got to sit there and ask a lot of questions and really say, do you really understand your content and what's going on? I mean,
Right.
again, you can have credential
Right.
and all this fluff,
Right.
but do you really
Right.
know your
Right.
stuff?
Right. The
Then-
beauty of the beauty of what we're able to provide then is that department chair, again, who's so busy, doesn't have to get a LinkedIn license and figure out how to find these people. They actually are sort of given a set of instructors that they're going to interview, and then they're used to hiring faculty. I mean, they're hiring full-time faculty all the time, and so they kind of know what to look for. They know the right questions. They're deep in their own fields, and so they know the right questions to ask. But it's that person that ultimately makes the decision whether or not this faculty member is going to be a good fit for the institution.
So this business idea seems so obvious as you talk about it so comfortably, but you said, there's a business here that really didn't exist.
No, yeah.
So what gave you the inspiration to go, I think I can turn this into a business?
Again, I've always been a connector. I think if there's one sort of personality trait that I can point to, I was always setting people up on dates. And also
That's why you go back to this date thing. I get it now.
Even in the
Okay.
business context, I always enjoyed connecting people who could be a help to each other. I heard too often, and not at the institution where I worked, but too often when I went out and did my market research, that department chair just needs a warm body, right? They don't want to cancel the class. and they want to offer the course, and so they're going to take whomever they can get. I don't want that to happen anymore. Our students pay too much money in tuition and opportunity cost to not have opportunity to be in a classroom with the best faculty member.
There's nothing worse, right?
The most passionate practitioner who can give them the skills, the expertise, the network, the lifelong learning tools, all those things that they need to be inspired to themselves go out and be passionate practitioners in their fields.
So you and I both can remember those faculty. Remember when you go, oh my gosh, this is painful to be in this class, right? Hopefully we didn't have too many of those. But You're right. For what students pay today, oh my gosh, to be in a class where you feel that this is painful and I'm paying for it, there's nothing worse. So all of a sudden you said, hey, this makes sense to be a business. So that's still that idea. What triggered you to go, I'm going to incorporate, come up with a name, find money, really create the website, whatever you had to do. What got you there?
A couple things I could point to. One is, in addition to always being kind of a connector, I love to learn. And I've had the opportunity, I probably learned 10 new things a day as an entrepreneur. I say I gave myself the free MBA by being an entrepreneur and starting a business.
It's not free, though. Come on, let's be honest.
It's not free, but I
free.
didn't have to go, I didn't go to class.
Right.
I researched and worked with mentors. So it was this opportunity at this time in my life to solve a problem, to have the opportunity to learn a whole lot about something new. We live in a culture now that really embraces and encourages people to be entrepreneurial. So I was able to participate in a program that Elevate Ventures offered through Northwest Indiana. I got a small grant, $15,000, to start building the website and to think about putting the business plan together, get some mentorship as a part of that process. And that really was instrumental in helping me make that decision to leave a 14-year career in higher education to start this business.
So share with us where you've got to, then we'll come back and connect and do the connection, right?
Sure.
So how big is the business now for you? I mean, where are you located? How many faculty?
So we are located in Valparaiso, Indiana. We have offices in Chicago, and then we're in an incubator in Silicon Valley in Redwood City, California, with a company called GSV Labs. They are one of the biggest ed tech investors and mentor people who have ed technology companies. So I'll actually be graduating from that program in April, but I've been doing that for the last year. We've got 12 employees now. We have built the database to our 2.0 version, and so very professional sort of looking database that lays out the 3 value propositions for our visitors to the site. We are working with over 24 schools. We've got a signature client with Ivy Tech, so we're doing lots of licenses for them. This is a SaaS company.
That's a big school.
Ivy Tech's a big school. When you look at some of the schools in the region here, some of the extensions, some of the for-profits, some of the community colleges, these are schools that hire a lot of adjuncts, many more than your typical sort of 4-year traditional graduate.
So are you able to
school.
talk about how many faculty you have kind of in
So we have a very large database of faculty. We've concentrated on 4 main verticals, which are the 4 verticals that are most in demand at institutions of higher learning. That's IT, engineering, anything with health sciences, and business. But we welcome anyone, any of your listeners, any of your, any of those who have an opportunity to see this show today. I will say, and I will plead with you to share your expertise. We don't ever want students to have to take what they can get, what an administrator can find for them in terms of a faculty member. I would bet that there are lots of people in your audience who are experts in some area, and they could share their expertise as an adjunct instructor in one of the regional campuses in Northwest Indiana. It's very simple. You come onto our site. You tell us a little bit about yourself. You can upload a video. You can upload any publications that you've done, any recommendations. And then the schools simply search for you using higher education specific search terms. And either we connect you or they find you on our database. And they're able to then bring that great practitioner into the classroom very easily.
You know what's interesting is a lot of entrepreneurs don't get this and they fail, but you've really seeing who really the customer is. Ultimately, the customer is the student who gets the benefit of a really good adjunct faculty teaching them. And that's ultimately what you're trying to do. You're just trying to make that happen through the university, how they're hiring. A lot of people don't see that. How did you manage to see that when other people can't see it? They see the dollars and cents, you know?
I mean, I think, I've worked in higher education for 14 years, and I have 4 kids right now who are in either just finishing college and getting into the work world, or are in college, and one that's just about to enter college. She's a junior. It's expensive, and it's a lost opportunity to spend 4 years not moving yourself forward. And we live in a new era. We live in a new economy where skills are important. For too long, I think, in this country, we've thought about higher education as being something that, if it is at all practical, it's not pure and good anymore. We've got to get away from that. We've got to think about bringing together employers, the government, and educators, so that students benefit at the end of the day from their education, so that they leave university prepared, not only as great citizens, not only as educated people, but with the skill set they need to be employed. It's not fair to take the kind of tuition dollars, to have students go into the kind of debt they're going into, and to leave their institutions without prospects for employment. It's not good for our employers, it's not good for our economy, it's not good for our nation, it's not good for the schools ultimately, but there has not been this collaboration. One of the cool things that can happen by bringing these experts into the classroom is we begin to create a conduit for that kind of communication to happen. And so, yeah, I want to see our students graduate with a great education and the skills they need to be employed in the new economy.
You've made my job so easy because you're really good at this and presenting. I can see why your business really took off, and I'm hoping that some of our viewers will check out this website and and refer some people over to be good adjunct faculty. So thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
You fulfilled all my expectations. So
I'm sorry if I talked too much.
you did great. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank
and
you
good
so
luck.
much, Keith. Thank you.
Thanks. Most of us know someone who is taking a college course or two. It could be your child, a relative, coworker, grandkid, or friend. Maybe it's you who are seeking knowledge, wisdom, and perhaps some needed skills. Consider that nearly 40,000 students attend our regional universities. Another 25,000 or more are away at school. Combine those numbers with 5,000 to 10,000 people who take online courses or classes at work, and we have approximately 75,000 people making decisions about what courses to take next semester. How do they decide which curriculum will meet their needs? The vast majority selects the class based on the requirements of their field of study or what sounds interesting. I'm here to tell you that's not the best way. Yes, there are classes you must take to complete a degree or certificate, and often they must be taken in a specific sequence. Students still have the opportunity to make their pick based on who is teaching. I can recall the excitement of reading a course description, which sounded like the most stimulating, exciting, unbelievably incredible learning experience ever. In reality, the blurb in the college catalog was probably written by a clever graduate student or an ingenious, prolific faculty member. I arrive at the class and soon discover that the professor who is leading this educational adventure is as interesting as watching paint dry. What was I thinking? It did not take me long to figure out that good teachers, no matter the subject, make learning a worthwhile endeavor. My statistics professor in graduate school was so excited about his subject matter that he made us delight in digits. My constitutional law faculty in undergraduate studies was so challenging that I took 3 courses from him and barely passed each one. Yet I learned more in his classroom than any other. My recommendation? Check out the teacher. Ask other students or people who work in the academic offices. Check online. Find out who the best faculties are and enroll in their classes. Ignore the clever course title or intriguing description and pick the person. It will pay off immensely and you will learn more than you could imagine. Thanks for watching Lakeshore Focus today. We would like to hear from you about our show or the comments I just made. Your views are important to us at Lakeshore Public Television. Email us at focus@lakeshorepublicmedia.org or reach us through our website, which is listed on your screen. Remember, you can watch past episodes of Lakeshore Focus from our website. Join us next week for another Lakeshore Focus. Until then, I'm Keith Kirkpatrick saying, make a positive difference in our world today.